In this video, we'll discuss processing of sorted array and unsorted array. First, we'll see which is faster and we'll explain why so, and we'll discuss about branch prediction. Now, jump back to the code. Here is a sample program where I have declared an array, and through a method I am randomly generating values and populating into that array. The generated array is not sorted as I am randomly generating the values. Then after that I am doing some processing. The internal for loop is basically the logic part, where the logic is very simple, where if the value is greater than 128, then do some processing where it is basically adding it off, else skip it. And the external for loop is basically adding more time to the process. This is basically I've done so that the difference in time will be noticeable. And to record the time, I have taken the initial time and I am printing the time taken by the whole process. Now let's run the program. It's taken more than 17 seconds. Now let's make a change. Before processing, sort that array. And we'll see how much time it will take. So it took just 5.2 seconds. So from 17 seconds, it reduced to 5.2 seconds. And it did some extra processing as well, that is sorting of array, which was not earlier. And no part of the loop is skipped or anything. The same data for all the for loop it processed, but still there is the difference. So here I will explain what is branch prediction. So in computer architecture, a branch predictor is a digital circuit that tries to guess which way a branch will go before this is known definitively. I take it from Wikipedia. I will explain what that means. For example, suppose there is a train which will decide which route it will take. Suppose at every junction the train has to stop and ask the station master like which way the path is, and again it will start running. So it will definitely took some time for that. But if the driver will always guess whether it has to go left or right, and if it is correct maximum time, then it will not lose that time, or it will save that time. But the problem is if it guesses incorrectly, then it has to go back and again take the right step. So in that way it will lose some time. So if the driver is predicting very well, then it might reach the destination quickly. This is what very similar happening inside the processor. In our CPU, whenever we gave it set of instructions, generally CPU try to run it parallelly in different cores of the CPU. So if there is a conditional statement, like in our case, if it is value is greater than 128, do some processing. So what happens in the CPU, before actually executing the conditional process or conditional instruction, it predicts whether the code will go inside or the outside. Based on that, it will start processing the logic. It does in this way basically to process the instruction parallelly. But because of that, it's sometimes not able to predict properly, then it have to reprocess the logic. Now let's see in our case, when the array is randomly populated for each data, so the conditional statement can come randomly. But when the array is sorted, so for the initial values, or if the array is sorted ascendingly, then for the initial values it's always false, and after 128 it will be always true. So if you see these two, and if the CPU is trying to predict or guess whether it will go inside the if or not, then obviously it will predict better in the second scenario where the array is sorted. All modern processors basically have this pattern recognition mechanism to speed up and make the instruction pipeline run parallelly. Thank you.